Are Blake Lively and Taylor Swift suddenly friends again ahead of Depositions? We have Prince Harry, who's not too pleased with Meghan Markle and her new As Ever brand. And we're going to get into the Jed Wallace of it all, Brian Friedman's savage clap back at Blake, and more. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Welcome on in, guys. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. How's everybody doing? Everybody in the club. I hope you guys are having a great day thus far. Happy Monday. Happy weekend. Or sorry, well, happy back from weekend. It's not weekend anymore. Hi guys. We have a lot to get into, a lot to catch up on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed whatever you did this weekend. I was in Bakersfield. I ended up losing my phone. It was a whole thing, but I'm back and I have my phone again and I'm very excited about that. But yeah. Danielle says, for everyone in the chat who is new, Zach's name is spelled with a Z-A-C-K, a K, not an H. Just FYI. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle, for being the crusader. Yay! Danielle also says she got her shirt. Look at that. If you're wearing your Justice for Justin shirts or your Mommy Sleuth, Daddy Sleuth, Zack Packs activated, whatever merch you ordered, this is the last week to clock in. We have until this Friday, April 11th, to place your orders, to get your order in. It is a limited edition collection. So thank you. Big shocker, a narcissist apologizing when there's something to gain. Yeah, well, we'll see. Alexandra says, I always listen to you on Spotify, but never live. Well, thank you for listening on Spotify. Yes, guys, you can watch full episodes of No Filter with Zack Peter on Spotify. In addition to YouTube, you can listen to the show on Apple. Let's see if we got any fun comments from last week. Lori on Spotify says, not the donut shop. I can't wait for the movie on this whole shit show. AB says, just recently found you and have no idea how I made it this far without you. Thank you, AB. And then Kate says, oh my God, this is dumb. I love that people have a space to speak their truth, but this is some Perez Hilton stuff. I'm dumb. I'm Perez Hilton stuff. Well, thank you for tuning in and commenting. And then let's do a quick Apple shout out and then we'll dive into everything. We'll dive into all the tea. Let's see. Did we get any fun new reviews over the weekend? We got one from Marsha Elpa. It says, awesome. Zack is genuine and delivers an unfiltered opinion. I love it. And then another one, Ange Isabel says, Zack over Nick in a world of podcasters. Be a Zack, not a Nick. Thank you guys. Oh, wait, we have a mean one. What? Who's mean? This one comes from G likes to knit. Lost the plot. Has barely been doing more than ranting about Blake Lively since December. I get it. You hate her. Stopped listening when there was nothing new. I won't be back. Okay. Thank you for announcing your exit. And then Robin said, it says, Zack says what we're all thinking. I found Zack because of Daily Dose of Donna, and let me tell you, I'm so glad I did. He's funny, sharp, and always on top of the drama with the receipts ready. What I love most is that he's not afraid to say what everyone else is thinking, but with actual insight behind it. It's giving pop culture therapist meets Bravo bestie. I'm here for every second of it. Definitely one of my go-to listens when I want the tea and a good laugh. Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Okay, where do we want to begin? Blake Lively and Taylor, Jed Wallace, Prince Harry and Meghan, Kenya Moore on Real Housewives of Atlanta, the White Lotus. We're going to get into all of that. I'll save the White Lotus talk for the end of this episode because I know not everybody has watched yet. And so I want to give everybody some time to take a beat, to watch it, to do all the things, because I want to make sure we all have time. I found Donna because of Zack. Yay. Zack, can you comment on last night's episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta? Yes, we'll get into Atlanta. So I didn't watch the full episode, but I at least watched the clip of Kenya Moore before her getting fired or not fired, depending on how you want to put on pause. So there was a statement at the end of the episode that says that after this episode is when Bravo ceased further filming for this season with Kenya, which I know a lot of people are interpreting as, oh, well, maybe she'll be coming back next season. Who knows? Obviously, there was her issues with Britt, who's the newbie on Atlanta this season. I mean, I'm not, like, super jazzed by the new season. I guess I don't love when there's a bunch of new people that we have to get to know and meet. I'm excited to see Portia back. I think Portia's, really elevated a lot. Drew, I'm actually surprisingly not that bothered by this season. Again, I haven't been watching it too actively, but I was trying to catch up to watch the Kenya Moore stuff, which is what I think we were all waiting for. I feel like the season's probably gonna die off now that Kenya's gone, which may be another opportunity for them to bring Kenya back next season. But so Britt saying what she said, I get it. Um, Not cool. I think, obviously I don't understand why there wasn't a suspension from Britt. I mean, obviously, she ends up apologizing to Kenya and bringing her flowers and like wanting to move forward, which I think was maybe an opportunity for Kenya to pivot and maybe not show the intimate, naughty photos of Britt. But I don't know. I don't think Kenya should have been suspended for the remainder of the season. I thought they should have been able to find a way to maybe temporarily suspend them, like maybe suspend Brit for an episode. And, same thing with Kenya, where there were some sort of repercussions for what they were doing. But I mean, I just feel like Kenya was doing what was traditional in Housewives worlds, right? Let's look at Beverly Hills when Camille was showing, Faye Resnick's Playboy spread. So I feel like these things have happened and they've been shown, or Danielle Staub. Remember when the guys were laughing at her tape? So these things have been done in the past. I understand the culture has shifted and the culture has changed. And, now there are these, newer protections that prevent people from their intimate photos or videos getting out. And, we're not in the same culture of the celebrity sex tape leaks that we used to have before. So I get that. Um, I think I have to agree with some of the other women. I don't love how they're all kind of really distancing themselves from Kenya when it's like, if you're a true friend, you're not going to completely ditch her when she's down. But I get the point, especially Cynthia, of being like, this was the Kenya Moore hair care opening. This was her moment. This was her moment to rise above everybody else and show how great she was. And instead, she used it as a moment to take a cheap low blow. And to me, that just wasn't necessary. I feel like there was maybe an opportunity to do something like that prior, but I don't think that that was the time or place to do that. I think production had to have known. Production knows everything. She came in with the giant poster boards, and I think that production knew that something was up. Usually they have their individual producers who I would be shocked if they really didn't know the nature of those poster boards and them being shown. Nobody on production stopped her or told her that there was anything, Candy said, how are they gonna let the gun reference go, but let Kenya go? Yeah, that was the part that for me, Kenya crossed a major line. I don't think she's coming back. I think she's coming back. I think people will be over it. Without a Crystal Ball had an exclusive about the complaint letter. Go check it out. Which complaint letter? Kenya has always been messy as hell. Not surprised by her doing. Yeah, me either. I feel like everybody's kind of just collectively jumping on Kenya because that seems like the popular thing to do because it's like, oh, Brit and revenge porn, oh no, protections from people. But it's also like, I don't know, Brit wasn't like they're both wrong in this, but I think threatening somebody with a weapon holds a little more weight than what Kenya did, right? Like I don't feel like they're equal. And so I don't understand why Kenya's repercussions were harder than Brit's, considering Brit was threatening, legal or not legal, she was threatening physical violence against Kenya. So to me, that's not, you know, the same as what Kenya did. And I don't understand why Kenya had to deal with the repercussions. But I do agree with Cynthia's position of being like, listen, this was your moment and you're better than this and you shouldn't have reduced yourself to this. But is she really better than like this is Kenya, right? This is Kenya Moore. Give me more Kenya Moore. Like this is what she does. She, ups the ante. She throws shady digs, like not saying that it's right and not saying that any of her behavior on the show in the past has been right necessarily, but you know, I also don't think it's to the level of, like, what Phaedra did, and, but Phaedra was ultimately able to come back after, what she did with Candy and Portia, but I don't know. That's my those things were mentioned, she showed actual pictures. Yeah, but the threat of violence with a weapon, that threat alone, I think holds more weight than showing photos that are very clearly accessible online. I don't agree with Kenya did, but I don't think Kenya did anything more wrong than what Brit did. Again, I know that's not the popular thing because suddenly we want to turn Brit into the victim here when I'm like, Brit has been I don't know if she I mean, she did okay, this is what I'll give Brit. She did come in with the flowers and wanted to make amends and wanting to offer a peace offering, and so that's where I think Kenya had the opportunity to pull the plug and not move forward with this. Cynthia did the correct thing in letting Kenya know that it was beneath her at your grand opening. I agree. I think Cynthia was really, again, the voice of reason. Jordan made a good point. Cynthia is always the voice of reason, but Kenya does not understand reason. No, Kenya acts with emotion. She likes to. I think Kenya thought this was going to be a real shady housewives moment. And unfortunately, it didn't play out the way that she was anticipating, and the network and the producers didn't back her. So we'll see. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Blake and Taylor or Jed Wallace. Blake and Taylor, Jed Wallace. Well, I guess Blake and Taylor's a quick update. Nothing too deep, and we'll get into the Jed Wallace. Oh, and then the spicy response from Brian Friedman. Oh, and the Blake Brown. Okay, there's a lot of Blake stuff to get into, and then we'll wrap with Prince Harry and Meghan and the White Lotus. But really quickly, a message from this week's sponsors. All right, guys, the countdown is on before the new administration exposes the entire pandemic. Most realize a large sum of people's health was negatively impacted by global coercion. Whether severe side effects or experiencing long COVID, check out this natural solution formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the Wellness Company. And they've just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently constellated into one capsule with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, and 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase, an enzyme researched for its anti-clotting effects, may work to break down spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. Crafted with 100% natural ingredients, Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research offering effective support for your cell's natural repair and recovery. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, a top freedom fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to twc.health/nofilter and use code NOFILTER to get 15% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/nofilter and use code NOFILTER to get 15% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling. When you refresh how you see things, the world can be a more vibrant place. Just in time for spring, Pair Eyewear has 3 new colorways for the most iconic acetate base frames. You can take a peek at their new Cozy Honey, Soft Lavender, and Moody Gray frames. And don't forget that you can soften or bold your look in a snap with their endless collection of top frames. Like these. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. Magic top frames. Look at sunglasses, regular glasses, sunglasses, regular glasses. Base frames, just like the ones I'm wearing right now, start at just $60, and your FSA or HSA could also be used to cover prescription eyewear. Plus, you get 15% off when you use code NOFILTER at paireyewear.com. They have so many different options. They have a ton of collabs with Disney, Disney Princesses, Disney Mickey and Friends, the Met, Marvel, Star Wars, NBA, and NHL. They have premium collections, Suntop collections, sparkle, classic colors, tons of options that you can choose from. Find your perfect shape from home with their virtual try-on. That's what I did to get these frames. I went on their website, tried them on, got to see how they looked, and then was able to place the order. So, and it's all done virtually online with your camera online. Super easy, super convenient. Base frames start at just $60, and top frames start at just $25. Free shipping on all U.S. orders, free returns and exchanges within 30 days, no questions asked. You can earn points to score dollars off your next purchase with their loyalty program, and you can also save with pre-tax FSA and HSA dollars. Upgrade how you see the world and how the world sees you. Go to paireyewear.com and use code NOFILTER for 15% off your first pair. And you can support the show by mentioning No Filter with Zack Peter sent you in your post-checkout survey. That's pair, P-A-I-R, paireyewear.com. Use code NOFILTER. All right, let's dive into Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. Okay. Okay, so there's a new source that is claiming that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift are friends again. What? Blake and Taylor together forever? Apparently Taylor Swift got an apology from Blake Lively, and the two of them are now, well, I don't know if they're actually besties again, but I feel like, I don't know. I'm skeptical of the timing. I'm skeptical of the story. I feel like there's not an official statement from Taylor. There's not an official statement from Blake. So it kind of feels like Blake's PR team is trying to push this narrative that the girls are all good again. Everybody's cool, calm, collected, and kosher. Don't know if I buy it. I don't know. I'm not buying it, not convinced. I think Taylor is very much upset that the deposition phase is coming. But could this mean that there's possibly a settlement that's on the table or being negotiated at the moment? Jean, Jean says, common knowledge, Taylor is a poor judge of character. Rogue says, I don't believe it at all. Diana says, this whole situation is giving me Gone Girl vibes. Yeah, see, nobody said Traveler landed. Nobody seems to be buying that this is real. Kay says, I don't believe it. Until I see them together, I'll take out as another one. Blake is one of Blake's planted stories. Yeah. Gigi says, Blake text her, don't hate me. Taylor text back, leave me alone. So she's calling it talking. Yeah. Yeah. Jason Fitz says this is 100% her CIA friend. Thank you for the super chat, Jason. Yeah. I feel like this is an attempt to try and, well, I mean, could this mean that there's a settlement coming? Is it possible that they're likely in talks and trying to smooth things over? Elizabeth says there's a source from Kirsty Flaw who has proof that she's sending Kirsty that it is definitely not true. Oh, I completely believe that. And Kirsty's she's very connected. And like, remember, she's an entertainment reporter. She knows a lot of people. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe she even knew somebody that was connected to Taylor Swift's PR team. I don't think that they're making amends. I think if anything, there may be a settlement coming because that's why she would want to mend her friendship. And she's like saying, hey, I'm so sorry. We're not going to let this go to the deposition phase. Don't worry. We're not going to let you get pulled in. Because at this point, Blake has no more cards to play to protect Taylor. Okay, so this is what's really wild too. Speaking of the Taylor piece and how everybody wants to get out. So we got this new letter that came in over the weekend. That's basically a letter from Blake Lively's hair care line, Blake Brown. And they wrote to the judge and basically are saying, hey, judge, as you mentioned in the protective order, right? Because they want the attorney's eyes only and the confidentiality designations. And so they're saying that they're protected under Blake Lively's protective order. And they're preemptively saying that they plan to exercise their third party rights in this case. Because remember, one of the four things that the judge approved and allowed for there to be the attorney's eyes only protection. One, it's over security measures, medical records, trade secrets, and third party protection. So Blake Brown, her, I guess, partners at Blake Brown are preemptively writing this letter to the judge saying, hey, we're going to exercise our third party privacy rights and possibly their trade secret rights. But it's kind of strange to me that depositions haven't officially started. I don't believe Blake Brown has even been subpoenaed yet because we still have to wait for the judge to rule on Leslie Sloan, the New York Times, Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds for their motions to dismiss. The judge hasn't answered any of that yet. We've gotten answers from Brian Friedman of the Baldoni parties, but we haven't gotten answers from the judge in terms of whether or not these people will get dismissed. I don't predict, if anything, maybe the New York Times, but I don't predict that any of the other parties will get dismissed. But it is funny. So Brian Friedman, in response to Blake Lively, ended up issuing this statement, which to me was just kind of funny because it was so savagely written and it was just so perfect. I'm gonna pull this up, what Friedman said, which I was surprised in how many people actually really appreciated it. So Friedman responded because Blake was basically saying, or Blake's attorneys were basically saying that, with their response to Blake's motion to dismiss, that they're now trying to use the laws to weaponize them to protect perpetrators rather than to protect real victims of harassment. And, they're trying to make it about like how Baldoni's team is going to hurt all of these people, all of these victims, because he's going to influence laws that are going to impact them. And so Friedman had this to respond. It's surprising that Miss Lively and her team are suddenly speaking so passionately about the hard-won rights of the survivor community, considering she sidestepped this topic for the entirety of the film campaign, focusing instead on her hair care and alcohol products, which at that time caused the organic backlash that she received. She does not need discovery to find out who smeared her. Just a mirror will do. That's the statement from Brian Friedman. And then I continued to show photos from Betty Blooms. So Betty Blooms was this event, this pop-up event that Betty Booze slash Betty Buzz, Blake Lively's beverage line, that they hosted in conjunction to promote It Ends With Us, right? And so, it was very much about the florals. Like nothing about this shows me, awareness for survivors or awareness for DV or SV, but they allowed people to come in to this pop-up and put together flower arrangements, which is kind of a cute idea, but it was with the intention of promoting Betty Booze, which is kind of, to me, what misses the mark. And so it was like, let's take photos and let's make sure we capture Betty Booze, which again, promoting alcohol while also, talking about the message of, bringing awareness to DV, to me, don't really align. And then they put together this video.
This and this, okay, and give you
a princess.
And so they're basically saying that Betty Bloom was put together with it's a conjunction between Betty Buzz and Betty Booze right here. This is their sparkling tequila. And then they pair it with It Ends With Us, the book. And then they're like, and we bring you Betty Blooms, which again is just a very out of touch, tone deaf way to promote the film, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody disagrees, but yeah. So I get where Friedman's like, it's strange that now suddenly she wants to talk about the victims when it's like that was never the premise of her talking points before. And so people are arguing, well, that's what the marketing plan set for, is it was supposed to be positive and uplifting, and the message was supposed to focus on, hope rather than the sad nature of DV. But it's like, the nature of DV is the reality, which is unfortunate, right? Whether you can't make DV not sad. You can bring an empowering story, but like let the focus be on, survivors and what the intention of the movie is. But instead, she chose to focus on promoting her brands, Blake Brown and Betty Booze. And so focusing on promoting Betty Booze to me is just kind of strange. Like if she wanted to do something where, first of all, it's a little tone deaf to promote your products at all, but maybe she could have done like let's partner with a local charity that helps women, that, we can bring survivors out and give them makeovers, and we can use the Betty Brown, the Blake Brown hair care line to promote survivors in some way, or to make them feel good. Like let's do some sort of makeover. Let's do something, right? Again, it's tone deaf altogether to promote your products while, trying to bring in, I know that I say that as I'm wearing my Justice for Justin shirt, but at least I'm donating 50% of all proceeds, of all merch proceeds, I'm donating to the No More Foundation, which is Justin Baldoni's chosen organization that he partnered with, nomore.org. So I don't see what Blake has done to bring awareness for DV or SV or to help victims at all. So to me, it's just kind of, I get it, where Friedman's coming out hard, but the fact that Blake Brown, the hair care line, is already preemptively coming out and telling the judge, hey, we're not going to actually do something, we're not going to participate unless we're really forced to participate. Like they're preemptively inserting themselves, taking the initiative to let the judge know, hey, you granted Blake Lively this protective order. We're technically a third party, so we should be able to be protected by this attorney's eyes only provision. And so they want to make sure that the Blake Brown, which tells me, what the hell does Blake Brown have to hide? Is there something in their marketing plan that says they're going to capitalize off of the film's release? Because originally, I believe the film was supposed to be set to release in June, and it didn't end up coming out until August. And so could that have been to coincide with the launch of her Blake Brown products, or something to do with Betty Buzz or Betty Booze? Like, I don't really know, but it seems like there was some sort of orchestration, right? If they're doing pop-ups to promote the film, I don't know, kind of strange. Don't know how I feel about that. Doesn't really land well, Kathleen said she just needs to go away after there is justice for Justin. We'll see what happens. It was Ryan Reynolds' marketing company that was in charge of marketing, so they're trying to blame Justin so Ryan doesn't look like the colossal fail he is. I don't believe Ryan Reynolds was responsible for all of the It Ends With Us marketing, but it appears that he was contracted, or his company was contracted to help. And that's where we see some of the bits, like the bit with him interviewing Brandon Sklenar and incorporating Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' mother. And they're like grilling the love interest, which is Brandon Sklenar's character. So what is it? Axel? Was that his name? Axel? I don't remember his name from the movie. It's been a minute since I've watched the movie, but so it was weird. But so Baldoni's team does make a really good point though in their response of being like, hello, her own husband, who's this marketing genius because he owns a marketing company, should have known that the way that they were promoting this film was not going to look well on his wife. Like he owns a marketing company. Like they should have known better. She's the wife of somebody that owns a marketing company. They should have known better to know that this wasn't going to land with the audience. And so I'm very curious what Blake Brown has to hide. Is it possible that they want to hide financials to prove that maybe they did profit off of the promotion of the film? Like maybe this did help their sales go up, which would hurt her claim for damages when she says they defamed her so badly that she lost money on her products. Maybe the financial records will show the opposite. I don't know. Or maybe there's something in their communication, in their correspondence that says that they did want to capitalize off of the release of this film. Very similar to how we saw Amber Heard tried to build her own profile by writing the op-ed about Johnny Depp to go in line with the Aquaman release. I don't know. But there's something that Blake Brown is trying to hide, and I think we're probably going to find out what it is. But if Brian Friedman wasn't, because I was sniffing more around the Betty Boos, right? Because that was really tone deaf and that was really bad. Because what is it? About 60% of cases involving DV involve alcohol, which to me, again, you probably shouldn't mix those two. It just doesn't make sense, right? So when you then bring it over, so I would think there would have to be something that Friedman would go after with Betty Boos. But now that Blake Brown is inserting themselves into this, I think that there's something. Do you think the judge will let them hide? No, I don't think so. Because if it's in relation to the film, the judge said that that goes beyond the attorney's eyes only protective order. So Atlas is his name. Atlas. What did I say? Axel? Axis? Atlas. I was close. They marketed their products and lost money instead. Blake's shampoo was removed from the shelves. Yes, I do remember that it was removed from the shelves. And then a lot of people are mad that it didn't have. A lot of people were mad that she doesn't have conditioner in her hair care line. And I'm like, well, are you surprised that she doesn't have conditioner in her hair care line? Like, look at her hair. It's dry and frizzy. Yes, I saw Donna had her Mommy Sleuth shirt on. Love Donna. Yes, guys, you can get your Daddy Sleuth shirts, Mommy Sleuth shirts, and Justice for Justin shirts at nofiltermerch.com. From now until April 11th, I'm going to be donating 50% of all proceeds to the No More Foundation. So 50% of all of my merch proceeds will go to No More. Donna had her. Yay, thank you, Donna. Love Donna. Maybe she used Blake Brown emails to discuss Justin Baldoni tactics. Maybe. I remember hearing that Target employees say that everyone was returning it. Well, they were probably returning it because they probably didn't like the backlash that she was getting. So I don't know. Money talks. Kathleen says, as a SH survivor, she made me sick when I saw her self-promoting. I didn't care about her one way or the other before I saw the promotions for It Ends With Us. Now an anti-fan. Blake's hair is wavy. She needs conditioner. That's why it looks dry. Wavy girl trying to go against it. Yeah. All her hair care products are still on the shelf at Target next to me in NYC. Okay, so maybe not all. I mean, listen, I will say that the press does have a tendency of as soon as you have one store that removes it from the shelves, the press will pick up on that one thing and then blow it up and make it a much bigger story than it needs to be. That's why I always thought it was really dangerous, like back in 2020 when, the news was going around and showing that like we were running out of toilet paper, because all they really do is show one store that's short, on toilet paper or short on one item. And they're like, look, grocery stores are running out of toilet paper. You show that on the news, and then everybody's going to flood to the stores and buy out the toilet paper because then they think that there's a shortage, and you create that scarcity mentality. And so, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. But so we'll see what Blake Brown wants to protect. But it's so interesting that Blake Brown is already trying to protect something when Jed Wallace was not allowed any protection. So let's move over to a recap on the Jed Wallace stuff. So for those that don't remember, Jed Wallace was a third-party contractor. I think his company's called Street Relations. And so he was hired by Justin Baldoni's PR team. And he claims, and Baldoni's team claims, that he was hired to monitor the conversation online. They wanted to make sure that they amplified stories of survivors and that they were just keeping an eye on what people were talking about online, because obviously they were worried about Blake because she was allegedly making threats to come forth about this harassment that she was going to come out with. So they just wanted to make sure they had a pulse on the conversation online, right? Blake Lively, in her CRD complaint, which was published in the New York Times, and then in her lawsuit, claimed that Jed Wallace was complicit in this smear campaign or this retaliatory campaign against her, and that he was astroturfing. Now, the second I saw the term astroturfing, and I remember, because I know me and Donna from Daily Dose Donna were talking about how at first Donna was like, they were astroturfing her and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, but I was like, where's the proof that they can show that they were astroturfing? Like, we need evidence. Like, does Blake have that evidence? And the only way she would get that evidence is if she were to subpoena like Meta and try to or Reddit and try to get them to turn over, documents or find something within Jed Wallace's company. And so they also kept honing in on the fact that, they claimed that they could run a campaign that was untraceable. Well, if you can run a campaign that's untraceable, then how do you prove that the campaign was real if it's untraceable, right? You would have to pull up records and pull up the data to show whether or not there was any sort of actual astroturfing done. Now, Jed Wallace has denied that he has done any of this astroturfing to boost negative posts about Blake Lively. He's always claimed his job was to monitor social media, was to look at Reddit threads and to do whatever practices he did to try and, read what was going on about Blake and about Baldoni and about the film It Ends With Us. And then from what we've seen, the only amplifying, like through astroturfing, Justin Baldoni wanted to amplify stories of, survivors of DV. It makes total sense given the nature of the movie. So Jed Wallace is now battling this out in court with Blake Lively. He's filed his own lawsuit outside of the New York lawsuits. He's filed his own lawsuit in Texas saying, hey, she defamed me. She named me and my company and said that I was complicit in this alleged smear campaign that I absolutely was not, that I didn't participate in. I was hired to do things. I did things. None of those things are what she's claiming I did, though. And also, it's kind of weird to say that he was necessarily complicit in the retaliation campaign, considering he wasn't on set for any of this harassment. There, to my knowledge, are no allegations of harassment against Jed Wallace. He was somebody that was just hired. Now, to be fair, I think her team can make the same argument that Baldoni and his team made about Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan and the principle of agency, right? If there is somebody that is technically the agent that's working on behalf of or acting on behalf of the principal, which in this case, Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan would be the agents that are working on behalf of their principal, which is Blake Lively. Therefore, Blake Lively is then responsible for what they're doing. But I don't know if Jed Wallace actually did anything wrong. That's kind of where he's at. Like, I didn't do anything to her. I didn't, and that he claims that that's not part of what he was hired to do. Jill says, 2,100 people watching. Show your love. Hit the like button. Yes, guys, if you're watching this right now, be sure to hit that like button. Jed Wallace also said that he had no part in anything under oath. He's telling the truth. I believe he's telling the truth, right? I believe that he did what he was told, but it wasn't what she's claiming. And again, she doesn't have any evidence to prove that. So he's trying to sue her for defamation. I think it's only like 1 or 2 mil that he's suing her for. So it's not very much, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But so she filed her response last week, at the end of last week, I believe on Friday, and it was 800 pages, an 800-page response to his lawsuit. Now, why would somebody need to file 800 pages? Well, when I first saw that and when I first heard that, I mean, we saw how long it is to get through like 100 pages, let alone 800. And the 800 pages, I'm like, what is this even for? What is this even about? A lot of it is colorful storytelling all over again. I believe she kind of rephrases some of the allegations, so it seems that she's trying to buckle down and reframe some of the wording that she used to describe the allegations initially with the New York Times article. But so when I heard and saw 800 pages, and I did not read all 800 pages because who has that kind of time? So I think that that was intentionally done to bury him in attorney's fees. And this is what you'll see people do, is they will file all these, motion to dismiss, motion to stay discovery, like all of these things that they're going to file. And a lot of them appear to be delay tactics. But again, a lot of them also appear to be ways to bully the other team. So Jed Wallace's legal team is now going to have to sit through 800 pages and then respond to the 800 pages, right? And obviously, it's going to take a lot of time to go through 800 pages. It takes a lot of time for us here to just read through like 100 pages, 150 pages, 170 pages, as some of these lawsuits have been, or these filings have been in the past. But 800 pages, like that's going to, one, be a major delay tactic, but two, I think it's really to drive up his attorney's fees, to know that he doesn't have the money that Steve Sorowitz and the Baldoni parties have. So she's likely going to deplete him of his resources to the point where he drops his lawsuit against her. Not because he doesn't have a case, but because he can't afford to keep this attorney going. So if you thought that the 800 pages was gross, then she goes and in these pages reveals that he has a medical condition related to his heart, which, remember, in her case against Baldoni, she was fighting for her attorney's eyes only protection to protect her private medical records, right? And to protect her security measures. I believe it's the heart condition and it's one of his addresses that were released as well, which to me, I'm just like, you're trying to bury him in paperwork to rack up his attorney's fees. I think that's pretty obvious. That's my opinion, but that's a pretty reasonable conclusion to come to. And two, you're outing his personal information when you fought so hard to protect your information. And like true, the attorney's eyes only protection only applies to the case that's been filed in New York. So she didn't have to follow an attorney's eyes only protection in this case because it's in Texas and it's against Jed Wallace. It's a completely separate, lawsuit. But you would just think a person, a human with some sort of soul would not do this because this is his personal private information that you're then now outing for what? To just be a bully? Like, this is why when you see more of these things, I'm like, anybody that has a strong case, if she had the evidence was truly on her side against Jed Wallace or any of these people, they wouldn't need all these, litigation privilege and Me Too privileges to jump through to try and save themselves. You would just have the evidence and the truth. And they keep saying they have evidence, they have evidence, they have evidence. But then they're like, no, the evidence will be dug up in discovery. The real evidence is going to be dug up in discovery. And it's like, what? You can tell she doesn't have a strong case. Yeah, she outed Wallace's medical condition. Yeah, which unethical, dirty tactics. And when you go low and you have to play those dirty tactics, that tells me you don't have a strong case. So, sorry. Another item added to Blake's karma basket. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. We've seen her time and time again that she has no soul, but she has these expectations that she holds the Wayfair parties to, or she holds everybody else to. And, she's just continuing to scrape the bottom of the barrel to do whatever she can to protect herself in the end. And that's what's so unfortunate. And the more that this goes on, the more we're seeing. So it's like she's protecting her medical records. She's having her companies file their letters to the judge, letting them know, hey, we're gonna flex our right to privacy. But yet she doesn't have that same respect for anybody else. It's just interesting. Interesting. Okay, let's move on to Prince Harry and Meghan. Dun, dun, dun. So apparently, Prince Harry is upset with Meghan Markle for the way she's using the kids to promote her new As Ever brand. As Ever. Meghan, let's see. I believe the As Ever brand is now up and running. Oh, wow. Her items have already sold out. Let's talk about this. So. Here we are, Meghan Markle's new company, as ever, as a curated collection by Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. And so we have her raspberry spread in keepsake packaging. We had the lemon ginger tea, $12. We had the flour sprinkles. Everybody loves the flour sprinkles, right? For $15. We have the shortbread cookie mix for $14. Looks like all of these items sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. So we have the honeycomb is sold out, the flour sprinkles are sold out, the raspberry spread is sold out, all the teas are sold out, the crepe mix, the shortbread cookie mix, the raspberry spread, more coming soon. Now, a couple of things. She could be going with the Kylie Jenner tactic of making sure there's only a limited amount of options that are available so that they sell out quicker. Two, these could also be people that are trying to make content out of it, which I mean, I think Megan still gets the final laugh because if you're buying her $14 tea and then it's also kind of crazy that she's charging $14 for peppermint tea when you can get peppermint tea for like $4 at the market and you don't even have to wait for shipping and handling. That's wild. But people are buying it. I think people are buying it. Similar to like the Erewhon strawberries, I think people are purchasing it so that they can make content out of it, so that they can troll it and talk about it. But you're kind of giving her the last laugh, you know? Next, Meghan Markle will sell hair care. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Tani says her website was a scam. People tried to buy things. Oh, yeah. Oh, Dave Neal just texted me. He said he's going to wear his Daddy Sleuth shirt today. Yay. Yay. I need Donna to send me I'm going to text Donna right now so you guys know. And you can remind Donna in her live chat today. Can you send me a pic in your mommy sleuth tee? Okay. So you can go in Donna's live chat today and say, Zach said you were supposed to send him a photo in your mommy sleuth shirt. Maybe they didn't show that she's showing them. Maybe they didn't sell and she's showing them as sold out. I don't know. Maybe. They're saying start a GoFundMe for Jed Wallace. I mean, you can. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing that, but you absolutely can. I mean, I guess that's actually not a bad idea. That's the new merch. We're gonna launch new merch T-shirts and put that money into a GoFundMe for Jed Wallace. You daddy sleuths are killing it. Thank you. Can we get some dog merch? A dog. Ooh, that would be interesting. That's a good idea. Some dog merch. I can have Sky and Sully be my models. Okay. So apparently Harry is upset because remember Meghan Markle posted that photo with her 2 kids and you don't see their faces, but you see them from behind. And apparently that was to lead people to go watch her or go to her website so that she could sell her products. Was that a story or was that a photo? I think it was just, oh no, it's right here. Be my little baby. Be my little baby. So I guess this is the photo that Harry was reportedly upset by. She's silenced her comments. You can't see any comments. But so here's Lilibet and here's Archie. And she says, oh, I guess this was from the As Ever official Instagram account. They posted this and then did a collab post with Meghan Markle, I guess, to build up their followers. Wow, they have 800,000 followers. So it would make sense if they had small quantities of the tea and the raspberry spreads and the honey. Like if they had a small quantity that they were selling on the side, if they're able to rack up 800,000 followers on Instagram, I would imagine that they can probably sell out that limited amount of product. It's a smart strategy. I feel like Kylie Jenner used to do that a lot at the beginning. She would do the she would do the limited amounts that they would sell out and it would create demand. And so it's a tactic that people use. Guys, the marketing plan was not bad. What Blake did was not the marketing plan. Keep it positive. Could be DV survivors are strong, resilient, not wear your florals, hawk liquor, and talk about your hair. Yeah, I agree. There was some loser on X that was coming back and forth with me. It's so funny because I posted there are like a lot of different accounts that were starting to let's see if I can find the one that I shared because there was this one person. Be my little baby. Oh yeah, I was in Bakersfield over the weekend. Oh, was this? Yeah. Post is now available because she blocked me. Oh, but this was her account. It was Garcia. Oh, Gracie Abrams fan 1234. And Gracie Abrams fan, I blocked her. But did she have this many followers the other day? Hold on, let me see if I can find. Oh, here it is. No, that's crazy. She had just the other day, she was following 578 and she had 876 followers, right? Doesn't really have anything on her page because I was like looking at these different accounts. This Rat Spice person, they're all following this wackadoodle expatriate, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively. And so I'm like, all of these accounts seem kind of fake, right? But it's so interesting that we see her here, 876. And then if we come back to this one, she now has 1,108, like 1,183. That doesn't seem real. That seems kind of strange. Like, how do you just 8, 9, 10, 11, you get a sudden spike of 300 followers when, like, who are you? Interesting. Doesn't have a real profile picture. Hmm. It also says she has 12.4 posts. I guess we don't see how many posts. She didn't have many posts the other day. Interesting. Interesting. But anyway, she was trying to argue that I guess you can't see her posts anymore. She took some of them down. But she was trying to argue that nowhere in the marketing plan does it say Blake can't promote her alcohol brands. And I was like, what? Is that the argument that the marketing plan doesn't specifically say not to hack her alcohol products? That's wild. Um, like that's the narrative. Well, it didn't say she couldn't or shouldn't. I was like, what? What in the coconut tree? It's just wild. Wild, wild, wild. Val says they could give and deliver a bouquet of flowers to DV survivors with a signed copy of the book, but her and Ryan chose to push her products. Exactly. They could have done a number of different things that made it uplifting. Like I said, they could have done makeovers with the Blake Brown products and made these women feel, empowered and feel beautiful because they are. And I think a lot of times you become super insecure when somebody tells you that your worth and your value, not to say that your worth and value should only be focused on how you look on the outside, but that can be empowering, right? To make someone look and feel beautiful when they maybe have lost their shine a bit. Jordan says, I mean, common sense would say she shouldn't push her alcohol brand with the DV. I mean, you would think, right? Blake promoted her drinks, but did not promote the theme of the movie. Yeah. There was a way to do it that could be uplifting, and that's not what she chose to go with. So, yeah. But so, yeah, Harry's upset with Meghan for using the kids. I get it. I don't know. There's like the weird theories that the kids aren't real or that they're props or that they use them only to promote things because we don't see much of the kids. So it's interesting that she then used the kids to promote her not her hair care brand, her jam. I don't know. It's interesting. It's weird. Yeah. Why didn't they just donate to Know More? Well, they didn't even need to donate all of their money to Know More. They could have donated 20%. They could have donated 10%. Baldoni pledged 1% of all proceeds from It Ends With Us to go back to the Know More Foundation. So, it was absolutely possible for Blake to do something as well. She had no problem flying Brandon Sklenar and Isabel Ferrer and Colleen Hoover, to the book expo, book bonanza, right? Is that what it was called? Book bonanza. She had no problem paying for that. So that's like you're paying to buy off your co-stars, but you can't pay to make a donation to a charity. Like what? So interesting. Brigitte says, I was listening to a British podcast this weekend, and they were saying that William is legally building something to forbid Meghan to use Duchess of Sussex because she wasn't raised a UK royal. It is so strange that she's leaning so hard into the Duchess of Sussex. That to me is just so phony baloney of her to lean into that, considering she hated the royal family and called them racist and had all these issues with how outdated and how traditional they were. And to me, that's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. She's racking up legal fees with the overwhelmingly unfounded claims would be another injustice for Justin to have to pay for this nonsense. Well, I think you're referring to Jed Wallace. So Justin and Jed Wallace has a separate lawsuit. So Justin Baldoni at least has Steve Sorowitz that's helping to finance Justin, Steve, Jamie Heath, Melissa Nathan, Jennifer Abel, and their companies. They're all collectively the Wayfair parties. Jed Wallace has chosen to sue Blake Lively independently on his own outside of Texas. So, if anything, it's worse for her to be doing this to Jed Wallace because Jed Wallace doesn't have the backing of Steve Sorowitz. Like, Jed Wallace is kind of taking this case on. And as he should, he was very it was unwarranted for him to be dragged into it the way that he was. Did Prince Harry lose his British accent living so long in America? Can you imagine Prince Harry with the New York accent? I don't think he lives in New York, and I don't think they've been here long enough for him to abandon his accent altogether. You need a Team Wallace shirt. Maybe we'll make some Wallace merch. We'll see. Okay, that's Prince Harry and Meghan, and then I wanted to close with my thoughts on the White Lotus finale. You guys. Ooh. Okay. So what did you think? It's funny because I went to dinner with my mom last night and she's super into White Lotus, so much so that she's like breaking down all these theories and she's like, and I go online and I read all the theories and I'm trying to connect this and that and the monkeys and this and and the necklace and then this person said that and like this has to be this and like she goes on so many different deep dives. Okay, well, Brigitte, I'm telling you right now, spoilers are coming. So if you need to zip out before you watched it, you can come back and watch it after. White Lotus had me all worked up last night. Okay, here's the question of the day, though. Were you happy with the finale? I'm going to do a poll. Yes, loved it. Dumb or didn't get it. The White Lotus finale. Okay, I'm going to post this poll so you guys can vote on it. And I want to know what you thought. White Lotus monkeys, White Lotus monkeys. What about the White Lotus and the monkeys? Everyone thought that the monkeys. Okay, I live. Okay, XOXO. Okay, Brigitte. Okay, so spoilers are coming. So if you didn't watch it, just so you know, we're gonna get into it. I live in Italy, and White Lotus hasn't come out yet. Oh my god, terrible finale. Not up to Mike White standards. Not watching because of Parker Posey. What did Parker Posey do? Is she in controversy? Did she do something bad? What is she saying? Piper, no. Piper, no. Season 3 is my least favorite. Season 3, I know, is a lot slower than the last 2 seasons. I just think the White Lotus was very much built on the whodunit, like trying to figure out who died, how it happened, like the mystery of it all. Whereas this one, and my mom was like, my mom, she is loving the 3rd season. She's like, because it's more of like you're getting a peek into these rich people's lives. Like if you're sitting at a diner and you're doing people watching, but you can see people from afar and you can see their body language, but you don't know really what they're talking about. She's like, that's what this season felt like, is it's like you're just watching these people, but this time you do get to get their backstories. You do get to understand who they are and what they're all going through. And the reason it's so slow is because you're supposed to feel the anxiety and like the dad, and you're supposed to, really get into the mindset of each of these different people. Right. So I was like, okay, fine. Danielle says, rich people's lives depress me. Michelle says, I was a little annoyed that the Southern family left relatively unscathed. Yeah, Parker Posey does give off Mean Girl vibes. Oh, that's why you don't like her, because she gives off Mean Girl vibes? Okay. So White Lotus finale. Let's see, where are people? Okay, so wow, overwhelmingly so far we have 44% of people are saying that they love it, 28% said dumb, and 23% said they didn't get it. So most people seemed pretty happy with the finale. Let me see. I pulled Instagram, and Instagram, only 5,600 people have seen it so far, but it looks like 48% of people are saying that they loved it. 34% of people are saying that it was dumb, and 19% of people said they didn't get it. So it seems like overwhelmingly people enjoyed the White Lotus finale. So who died? That's the real question. Who died? What was it? Not Chloe. So it was the guy, it was the couple and the old man, the dad. Sorry, I was binging it all week, so I'm not fully caught up on everybody's White Lotus season 3. So I thought that it wasn't as big of a like shock as to who died. So obviously we have Locke, who's the young boy in the wealthy family, who the Snape from not Snape, Draco Malfoy's dad, who plays the dad here, and he's like on pills and he's going through a lot of stress, and so everybody thought that like he was likely going to do something. He's been like building this up in his head. He's had all this anxiety about something that's coming. We never really found out what the Zack. It was the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. What was the Holy Spirit? Explain this to me, Lel. So we have season 3. I want the season 3 cast. So we had Piper. No. So we had Sarah Catherine. Okay, so we have Piper. We have Belinda. So Belinda's the older lady. So she doesn't end up getting her yoga studio. She ends up with her $5 million that her son helps her negotiate. She sails off into the sunset. Then we have the Ratliff family, where we have Victoria and Piper. And Piper ultimately realizes that she doesn't want to live this monk life, that she's meant to live a more polished life. And so the dad is going to end up, what was his name? What was the dad? The Ratcliffe family. What was shit? What is his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Piper, no. Yeah. Oh, Timothy Ratcliffe. So he is contemplating, whacking himself, and then he contemplates, shooting himself, and then his wife, and then possibly the kids. And we see those play out throughout the season. And then we see in the end, he ends up going to what they call the unaliving tree. I'm trying to think of I guess suicide tree is what they call it. And so if you grind up the seeds and you eat the seeds, that's how usually people take themselves out. But so he ends up going and getting a bunch of those fruits and getting the seeds, grinding them up, putting them in a blender, and then he has the staff bring stuff so that they can make pina coladas. And so on the final night, he wants to do a toast with the pina coladas that they're all going to drink together. And then he goes and he cheers and everybody starts drinking and they're like, it kind of tastes funny. And then he changes his mind and he smacks it out of Sax's hand. And he's like, no, don't drink it. Something's off with the milk. And everyone's like, that's really weird that something's off with the milk. And you're like acting strange. And then the wife's like, Victoria's like, can you just like open a bottle of wine if we can't drink these pina coladas? And then he very much doesn't want Locke to drink the pina colada. Victoria is like, you can go, Saxon can go, Piper can go, because they're both the two spoiled kids, right? But Locke, he's the baby. He's the one that kind of seems nice. It was weird that he was making out with his brother and jerking his brother off. That to me was like such a weird aside, because I caught up on the season in this past week, but like prior to that, everyone was talking about these weird moments. They were talking about Piper, no, and then they were talking about the brothers kissing and then the brother jerking off and so, jerking off the brother. So to me, I was kind of like, huh? Oh, Russ, yes, Parker Posey was in the Blake Bump interview. That's right, where she's like, what about my bump? You're right. That was an old interview, but yes, you are right. That is true. Because I was like, wait, Parker Posey does have a role in all of this. Anyway, but I need to get back to this Father, Son, Holy Spirit trilogy. But so anyway, the Ratliff family, they all end up living, but then Locke, the son, he ends up making a protein shake out of that infamous blender, but the blender had all the residue from the seeds, from the poisonous seeds from the tree. And so he ends up making his protein shake, doesn't clean out the blender, which, hello, you should always clean out the blender, especially if there was bad milk that made the pina coladas and it was left out overnight. Like, what are you doing? Did you just fall out of a coconut tree, Locke? Get it together. And so he actually deserved to die for half a second, okay? He didn't fully get whacked. He came back to life. But so he drank the protein shake, and then he ends up like, and then like he falls by the pool, and then we're seeing him and he's in the water, and then we think that we think that he's been unalived. And then the dad finds him and he's like, Piper, no. And he's holding Locke and he's like, no, you drank the forbidden fruit. You weren't supposed to drink the forbidden fruit. Only to then surprisingly see that Locke ends up coming back to life. Like it temporarily it like put him into what, like a coma? What would we even call that? But like he like was gone for a little bit, but then he came back and he's like, I think I saw God, and now he's been enlightened. And we don't see what really happens with his journey, but then we do see that eventually the family gets their phones back and they see that there is some sort of scandal, and the dad's like, don't worry, we're gonna get through this together. And so they're gonna be the next Schitt's Creek. Holy Spirit is Chelsea. Yes. Okay. So then let's get to that, because we have Chelsea, Chelsea, bang, bang. And then we have, we had the three friends. We had Jacqueline, we had Kate, and we had Lori. And Jacqueline, Kate, and Lori, I feel like didn't really have much. They didn't really bring much to anything. I mean, they were just three girls on a girlfriend's trip, but they, went apart, but then they ended up coming back together. Good for them. And then we had Chelsea, and Chelsea, she's like the free spirit, and she's just like, yes. And she's about the manifestation and the meditation and doing all the things. And then we saw Sax like wanted to make out with her, and she's like, no, read my books and you can be enlightened too. So it seems like there was some sort of enlightening, because I feel like Sax kind of was enlightened a bit, and Locke was enlightened a bit, and Piper, who's the one that like wanted to come for enlightenment, she's like, I can't sleep on the bed because there are stains on it. And then we have Rick. And Rick's Chelsea's older boyfriend, who's not very hot, and he has a bald spot, and he is a hot mess, and he ultimately like goes off partying with Frank, and then gets Frank to like go on a bender, and then by the end of it, Frank, even though he likes to be pegged by, or not even pegged, he likes to be full on boom boom in the bedroom with the lady boys and the Asian girls, and he's like, yes, give it to me. And so he goes on his healing journey after he goes on his crazy bender with all the ladies. And then Rick like ditches him, and then Rick goes back to Chelsea, and Chelsea's like, you need to stop fixating on the love. She's like, did you get closure from the guy that killed your dad? And he's just like, I confronted him, but I didn't do anything to him. And she's like, you need to let go of the past and let go of the love you didn't receive to embrace the love that you have here and now. And he's kind of like, yeah, that's a bit of a good idea. But so ultimately, he ends up in the end taking out what turns out to be his actual father. And so we had Sritala, who is the old lady, and then her husband, Jim. And so we find out that Jim is actually Rick's dad, because Rick and Jim have another sort of confrontation, and they end up having it out at the buffet at breakfast. And then the old man is like, your dad was he like trashes his dad and trashes his mom, which pisses him off. And then ultimately he ends up shooting him because he thinks that he killed his dad, and he thinks that, he was upset that he trashed his mom, only to find out he is his dad, because then the old lady's like, he is your father. Luke, he is your father. He said he was your father. And then there ends up being this big shootout, because after he takes out the old man, then the guards come and they're shooting at him and he's shooting at them, and he takes them both out. But then Chelsea gets caught in the crossfires, and then she ends up dying, and then he's carrying her. And then the other security guy, the nice security guy, the one that's in love with Mook, which I don't get her point in all of this either. To me, that was, what was his name? Gaydok. So Gaydok, he's the security guard. Gaydok. He ends up taking out Rick, and then Rick and Chelsea end up, going into the lily pads in the pond together. And so they, die together. And so the old man dies, and then Rick dies, and then Chelsea dies. And so somebody's saying it's the Holy Spirit, because you have the Father, the Son, and then Chelsea represents the Holy Spirit. Interesting. I didn't see that. Now I need my mom to watch. And I was texting her last night, and I was like, did you watch it? Yeah, because she was so into it, and she had all these theories. And I'll tell you right now, none of her theories checked out. All of her theories that she was reading online, they were all wrong. One of the theories was that the monkeys end up getting the gun that everybody's fighting over, and then just bang, 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 and taking everybody out. Like, there are all these different things. Radcliffe, that's Harry Potter's last name. Radcliffe. No, it's Ratcliffe, not Rat. Belinda played the boyfriend like Tanya played Belinda. Yeah, that's a good observation, Sophie. You're right. The way Locke didn't clean the blender and all the gunk was at the bottom after they said that it was bad milk last night. Yeah, that's why I was like, you know what? Actually, that's your bad, Locke. That's your bad. Zack, I'm actually grateful to Blake Lively because she led me to you. So happy I discovered you and your channel. You have the best lives. Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. The brother scene was crazy. I liked that because it was crazy different. which brother scene, the one where they kiss or the one where the little brother jerks off the older brother? And then the older brother's like so like conflicted about it, and then he's like, I know you worship me, but that doesn't mean you have to like worship me. It was just strange. I don't get why those bits were necessary to the overall plot, though. That to me was just kind of like a random strange aside. That was beyond residue. That was filth on filth. Yeah, in the blender. It was so gross. Food poisoning. Was Parker Posey sort of trying to break the tension in that interview? Yeah, I think in the Blake Lively interview, yes. Elle says, Zack, not sure if it means anything to Mike White, but I have to believe that he had some sort of deeper meaning with that finale. It was too surface level and underwhelming in his caliber. I agree. And that's what I'm trying to figure out what the actual, because I mean, I get it with the father and the son. And then, I mean, to me, I guess I interpreted it as not as the Holy Spirit, but more as Chelsea is the representation of hope and the future. And the old man was the representation of the past, and Rick couldn't let go of his past and couldn't move past his childhood trauma. So when you're so focused on the past, you miss the hope and the love and whatever is good that's right in front of you. That's why they always say to embrace the now, right? Embrace the I am, the here and now. Don't stay focused on the past. You have to be able to move forward and heal from the past and let go of the past in order to embrace what's right in front of you. Because if you stay stuck to the past, then you're going to die by the past rather than embracing the future that's right in front of you. So to me, I didn't see the Holy Spirit piece, but I did see the other. But then there are threes. Only three friends. Yeah, there is an element of three, right? Because you have the three friends, you have the three kids, you have the three guys, the three gang guys. Remember the two gang guys and then the hot guy with the tattoos? So there are a ton of themes of threes. Lori basically broke through the BS by being humble about her own struggles, and then friendships can actually start to get through. And it was in the end of the trip. Yes, that is a good point, that they were able to at least heal, and Lori was able to kind of have that moment with her friends. That's fine. I get that. Zack, you need to watch Chinese dramas. They were awesome. Talk about betrayal, love, and violence all in one episode. Yeah. Gaydoc. His name is Gaydoc. Piper, no. Rick has the most beautiful post to his co-star on Instagram, bidding farewell to their love story. Well, their love story lives on in the afterlife because they went on together. That's what I got from it too. Yeah, that she was, yeah, okay, that I think Chelsea was the beacon of hope, and that you can't stay tied to your past. You have to lean into your future, or else you'll stay, you'll die by your past. It's about healing. That felt like the only story that actually concluded with the finale. Well, I guess with the three friends, you can see that the one friend that's a bit of a hot mess, she like kind of comes full circle, and then they're able to embrace their friendship again. The family one was just kind of the whole Ratliff family, like I don't get what the resolution was, because we don't see their life afterwards. We kind of just see them on the boat, and it kind of seems like maybe Sachs looked at his phone and saw the news that broke, but we don't really know what the news is. Like, we didn't really get closure to that piece. We just see that Piper's a bit of a brat, and she isn't going to embrace this monk life after all. So I feel, and then Victoria, nothing happened with Victoria. She stayed the same old person that she always was, and she was just, the three signify the third season. Yes, I'm sure, but finally caught up, and I'm so lost. Totally fast forwarded through the themes of three. I mean, menage a trois. The relentless, irresponsible filings is unreal. How embarrassing for Blake's lawyers. Oh yeah, that's the Blake stuff. Would have preferred to see their reaction to losing it all in episode 7, and then more follow up in the finale. Instead, it was a big nothing from Victoria and the older son. Yeah, we got nothing. Like, I wanted to see Victoria heartbroken. I wanted to see her shooketh by the fact that she's about to lose everything. And I want to know exactly what the dad did and like how he got caught. Like, now I'm invested in that story, Parker, yeah, is in the interview with Blake. Yep. Saxon was the best character, in my opinion. We hate him, and then we see him at his lowest, and then he starts to learn from Chelsea. What is his lowest? Getting jerked off by his brother? That's what we're considering his lowest. And then he starts to learn from Chelsea, but ends up bopping his sister on the head with the book, which is how it began. I mean, I think he at least got some sort of enlightenment, as did Lockie. Lockie got enlightenment. He got enlightenment. The dad, I guess, accepted that, like, you can't run from. I guess that's kind of the theme because the dad ends up, rather than taking the family out, he ends up taking them back on the boat and facing reality. So I guess that's another theme that comes through is you have to kind of just face your reality. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it because when you run from it or you don't let go of it, that's when you end up like Rick and Chelsea. Kenny G says, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 100K. What are we at right now? 100K. Well, real estate. It seems like most people overwhelmingly were happy with the finale and they liked it. 100K. Well, real estate. We're at 92.1. 92.1. Yeah. So come on in, guys. Welcome on in. Let's get it. Monkeys are hear no evil, speak no evil, see no. Okay, my mom was fixated on that theory too. But what do the monkeys? Oh, I guess there are 3 monkeys. Hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. So how would they apply in this season though? Because my mom said that season 1 was about see no evil, hear no evil. She was tying each of the monkeys to one of the 3 seasons, and she was like, and this one is where, because everybody's avoiding something. They don't want to say something. They all are avoiding what they have to face, which I guess is true to an extent. Maybe that's what happens with the brothers and the sexuality, and the dad doesn't want to face the financial stuff, and then Belinda, I guess, doesn't want to face that she's actually low-key kind of human and selfish herself, and that's why she just takes the money without opening the spa with that other guy. We got footage up to the very last second before they found out we only get the characters on vacation, not real life. I know, but I would have liked a little something, right? We got them up until right before they found out. Well, it kind of looks like Sax may have seen something like on the phone. The first 3 episodes of The Handmaid's Tale drop on Tuesday, even though we're already living it in real life. I curse Taylor Swift never rises again in her life. Well, we'll see. No, 60% not happy with the ending. Was that the final results of the poll? No, it says 39% loved it, 35% didn't get it, and 25% thought it was dumb. Well, I mean, I guess that's technically 60%. Sure. Piper, no. Then finally confronting. Yeah. I didn't think it was a lazy ending. I just didn't think it was that grand of an ending. And the theme just felt a little too on the nose, right? Like, oh, if you stay tied to your trauma from the past, you'll never move forward. Like, it just kind of felt a little too, hmm, hmm. I want to spin off following that family. We have it. It's called Schitt's Creek. Your Cinderella says, tease both 12-year-olds in a 35-year-old's body ruined a man's life and may never see peace in their life. Okay, what? Zack, can you make merch for Jed Wallace? Something like Thoughtless versus Wallace, Lawless versus Wallace. That's cute. Maybe. That would be kind of fun. Elizabeth says, I don't know this series, but I want a monkey spin-off. The monkeys definitely play a theme in all of it. I think maybe I'll have to read some of like the deeper analysis recaps to find out like the real themes of the finale. We'll have to see what Mike White has to say about it. Would like the downfall of the Ratcliffes followed up in season 4 with the new cast. Let's see what season 4 is going to bring, though. Tiffany says, when something is so thought-provoking, no one can figure out what the thought-provoking thought is, we might have a problem. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it, too. I was like, was it really that good of a season? He was trying to do something with it, and he did something. Okay, I have to wrap. I am going to be on Paula M's YouTube channel today. I'm also going to be on Billy Bush's Hot Mics with Billy Bush today. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be on Chef Stew this week. I'm also taping with Fox Digital. So lots today. Fox Digital, Billy Bush, Paula M, Chef Stew, all of those I'm going to be doing this week. So definitely tune in, show some love in the club. Shout out to the Wellness Company and shout out to Pair Eyewear for this week's content. Thank you guys for sponsoring No Filter. The links are in the description below if you want to use the promo codes. The promo codes are No Filter. Go to paireyewear.com or thewellnesscompany.com. Be sure to use promo codes No Filter. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Give me a follow, Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack on Instagram. Lots of good reels. I'll do another Jed Wallace reel today, so stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Stay tuned. Leave an Apple Podcast review if you're enjoying the show, because I really do appreciate them. They help the show grow. They help us rank in the charts. So continue to show some love in the club. In the club, we all fam. All right, guys. Yes, booked and busy. Love you. Appreciate you. Talk to you tomorrow. Ciao for now. Bye.